Hey there, Psycho, heard the news. There's a new podcast made just for you. So if you like psych and pineapples too, then I know you know what to do. Come on down to Santa Barbara town and get ready for Psyched.
Hello, and welcome to Psyched, a podcast where we discuss all things psych, the hit USA TV show. From hidden pineapples to crazy nicknames, come on, son, and join the fun. If you are a fan of delicious flavor and have heard it both ways, this is for you. I'm Keaton, your host, also known as Sean Gus Psych on Instagram, link in the description. I started watching a few seasons in, live on TV, and since then I've seen every episode at least twice. Today we are talking about Season 1, Episode 15, Scary Sherry. Now the plot summary is from psychusa.fandom.com. On Halloween night in 1987, Sean and Gus are trick-or-treating with Henry. Afterwards, Henry is driving them to the police station to get their candy x-rayed, when someone stops the police car and tells them someone is jumping from a window at the Wispy Sunny Pines Mental Institution. At the scene, Henry rushes in and leaves Sean and Gus in the car with instructions for them to keep their eyes closed. Sean, of course, opens his eyes to see the woman fall out of the window, presumably to her death. From that moment on, Scary Sherry has haunted the halls of the now abandoned facility. Exactly 20 years later, we find a girl, Doreen Harthen, being chased by what appears to be her ghost through the walls of Wispy Sunny Pines, falling through the same window to her death below. Sean and Gus return to the psych office from a badminton match to find Juliet there waiting for them. She's undercover as Mary Lou Baumgartner, National Alumni Vice Parliamentarian of the Beta Kappa Theta sorority, of which Doreen was a pledge. The going theory is that Doreen killed herself in a copycat of Sherry's original suicide, but Juliet thinks there's more to the story. She's sure Doreen's sorority sisters know more than they're letting on. She needs a psychic to read the sorority house because the girls think they are being haunted by Doreen's ghost. Meanwhile, Lassiter has been temporarily reassigned to train a rookie detective from another department. It turns out this rookie, Goochberg, is the oldest rookie in department history. She took the test 14 times before she passed, and despite Lassiter's tutelage and her complete lack of experience, has her own set way of doing things. She also has a laundry list of medical problems, including not being able to hear out of her one ear and hindered eyesight out of one eye. At the sorority house, Sean and Gus are having their best day ever reading Betty, Bianca, and the rest of the sorority sisters in the middle of their pajama party. As the girls start to describe the creepy, unexplainable things that happen there at night, scary things start to happen. The lights flicker on and off, a voice tells everyone to get out, the voice repeats the word Akhenab several times, a vase falls off the mantle and breaks on the floor, a lamp falls over and breaks, and a ghost appears outside the window. When the lights finally come back on for good, Sean and Gus are gone, running for their lives to Gus's car outside. Gus, the quicker of the two, takes off, leaving Sean to investigate. He finds evidence that the phenomenon was man-made with speakers, wires, and a floodlight. Juliet says anyone could have done it, but Alice Bundy, Doreen's best friend from childhood, definitely has a score to settle. Back at the psych office, Gus has been doing some investigating on his own. By all accounts, Doreen had too much to live for. She wouldn't have committed suicide. Plus, from a picture of the crime scene, it appears the latch on the window Doreen went through was broken, suggesting she fell backwards out the window by accident. Sean then realizes that the word Akhenab, the supposed ghost was yelling, is Bianca backward. Bianca is in danger. He calls Juliet and they rush over to the sorority house, but it is too late. Bianca has been murdered as someone dropped a toaster into her bath. At the police station, Chief Vic grills Betty, who admits, after some psychic help from Sean, that Doreen's death was an accident. She was being hazed into the sorority. Doreen was supposed to spend all night at the haunted asylum. It was Betty's job to get Doreen to the asylum, and Bianca's job to dress up in a nightgown and pretend to be Sherry to scare her. As Doreen accidentally fell through the window, Bianca tried to grab her arm to catch her, but it was too late. The two girls later buried the nightgown in a nearby tar pit. At the psych office, Gus tells Sean that Alice Bundy, now the top suspect for the murder of Bianca, has an airtight alibi. She lives with Doreen's family and was upstairs in her room all night. Sean doesn't believe there is such thing as an airtight alibi. He knows Alice did it. He just has to figure out how. Sean talks to Alice at her school, but only finds out that Alice and Doreen were more than best friends, and they always did everything together. Meanwhile, Lassiter and Goochberg are investigating a petty robbery at a convenience store when she jumps the counter and starts attacking the robbed store employee because she thought he was withholding information. After the victim runs out, Goochberg runs after him with Lassiter reluctantly following behind slowly. At the sorority house, Juliet gets an invitation to a candlelight vigil being held by Doreen's parents at Wispy Sunny Pines. Later that night, Gus, Sean, and Henry are having dinner at Henry's place. Sean makes up an excuse that they have to go because of a case, but Henry knows it is the Wispy Sunny Pines case. When Sean admits that the case hit close to home because they were present when Sherry jumped, Henry quickly realized they had their eyes open during the whole event. What the kids didn't see, however, was Henry reaching out the window just before Sherry jumped, rescuing her. Henry explained that Sherry was rehabilitated and married and living in Fresno. Sean and Gus ended up telling their classmates in the lunchroom the day after Sherry jumped, leading to the urban legend of Scary Sherry. The next day, Sean and Gus go to the Harthins to investigate. Gus distracts the housekeeper, who tells him that Doreen's parents are at the cemetery. While Sean sneaks into the back, while there, Sean gets a call from another sorority sister who tells him that Juliet went to a candlelight vigil at the asylum hosted by Doreen's parents. He soon discovers a tar smudge on the drain pipe as well as the gutter, and deducts that Alice retrieved the nightgown from the tar pit. He also figures out how Alice was able to sneak out of the house unseen the night Bianca was killed. When Gus rejoins him, he tells Sean that Doreen's parents aren't at the candlelight vigil. Sean realizes Juliet is being set up. They race over to the asylum, calling Lassiter for backup on the way. At Wispy Sunny Pines, Alice guides Juliet through a maze of candlelight to room 413, the room where Doreen fell from, as well as Scary Sherry, apparently. Alice appears from the shadows holding an axe and starts blaming Juliet and people like her for making other girls feel inferior. Alice sees Jules as the queen of these people and of the perfect sorority, and is going to take her out as justice for Doreen. She starts swinging an axe at Juliet, who is able to avoid every swing. Sean, Gus, and Lassiter arrive outside and hear screams coming from inside the asylum. As they run to 413, Gus gets stuck in the floorboards, but Sean and Lassiter arrive just as Juliet gets the upper hand and takes the axe from Alice. Alice is taken away in handcuffs. Sean goes back inside the hospital to rescue Gus, but not before testing him with a sound system, teasing him. The next day at the police station, Carlton explains to the chief why he can't work with Goochberg again. Since her pacemaker has put her in the hospital, Lester's temporary reassignment is thankfully over. He asks Chief Vic what he did to earn a partner like Goochberg, and Vic tells him she thought they would get along because they had similar personalities. Now a little depressed, he walks to see Juliet with Gus and Sean laughing, eating Chinese food at her desk. He tries to fit in briefly and then walks away. Right as he walks away, Gus throws him a fortune cookie, and Sean and Juliet turn and smile at him. Lassiter opens the cookie and smiles at it. So that is what happened. This is one of my favorite episodes of season 1. It probably is my favorite episode of season 1. And there is a throwback to, what's it called? Mrs. Pickles. So Sean in one episode, I think it's Speak Now or Forever Hold Your Peace. Can't exactly remember. Where Gus is at work and Sean needs an excuse to get him out of work. So she calls, or it's Weekend Warriors. One of those in season 1. He calls the office, Gus's office, and is like, your cat's in trouble. It's at the hospital. You need to go. And he makes up a story how it's an orange tabby named Mrs. Pickles. And gets him out of work to go help with the case. And in this episode, there's a throwback to Mrs. Pickles, because Gus, when they go talk to, well, they try to talk to the family. they end up talking to Poppy the housekeeper, and Gus makes up this excuse. He's like, Mrs. Pickles is missing. My orange tabby. Have you seen her? Mrs. Pickles! And starts crying. And it's a little, nod to, Mrs. Pickles. I thought that was really, really cute. That's one of my favorite scenes, when he's trying to cry and Sean is just being dumb, eating a cupcake, making a mess. He does figure out some stuff, but it's really funny. And then, what else did I like? Everything. First of all, that they started an urban legend. They did that. That in, Santa Barbara, they started an urban legend. That is super cool. What else? You just have to watch the episode. Juliet going undercover is so good. She gets into character so well. When Sean calls her, it was like, someone's going to die or whatever, and she's in character, trying to be cool and, fancy and preppy, and then Sean is like, Jules, stop! And it's so funny. And then, of course, I don't know why or how they thought of to add Goochberg, but it is the best side character and side story. So, probably so far, and maybe in the entire series. It is so random. They're solving an actual case. And then there's just Goochberg trying to, be a detective, but is failing, and last he has to deal with it. It's the best, I think. I don't know what other side story is better, honestly. I didn't really plan much, because I'm excited, because we're going to get, hopefully, a new co-host. I'll have a co-host for once. So I've been, working on that and not thinking about this episode. But it's so good. I could say everything. Okay, so of course, Gus being afraid of Wispy Sunny Pines and then getting stuck. And Sean forgetting about him and going back in and haunting him, scaring him and saying, work the laces. So that's what he tells Gus in the first place, and then scares him some more. It's hilarious. There's just so many good things in this episode. The whole plot, the whole crime, all the actors. I don't know, it was so good. I can't say enough about this episode. There's so many good scenes, not episodes. There's so many good scenes. And the one thing I really dislike, but just bothers me. Why is Henry, he has this mouthful trying to tell Sean and Gus what happened the night when they were kids? Why? Stop eating and tell the story. I don't know, that bothers me, but everything else is gold. The chief for sure is great, because at the end he's like, Julia, what happened? And then Alice is like, she's crazy. And the chief's like, you're the crazy one. This is Juliet, my detective. We're chill. And then Sean obviously cuts himself on the axe. Oh, it's just gold. I don't know how else to explain it. It's gold. But yeah, I think that's it. That's all I really want to say. Let's go to trivia. PsychUSA.fandom.com has some trivia. And also, I do know some other trivia, too, that I told you about Mrs. Pickles. That was my trivia, personally. I am obsessed with Mrs. Pickles, and I do want a cat, and I want to name her Mrs. Pickles, so that will be happening. But the trivia on this website, once more, the title is a play on words, evoking both the original victim and fortified wine of Jerez de la França, Spain, which gives us English word sherry. The toast is presumably Bianca's salute to the first crime. Also, Bianca's toast is a reference to Bianca's death by a toaster put in her bathtub. Yes, that is a very weird way to die. But is that a toaster? There's a Monk episode it's a radio. That's very similar. No, there is a toaster. I feel like there's an episode with a toaster in a bathtub. But there's also an episode with a radio in a bathtub. And I can't remember which one's which. If you know, comment below or message me on Instagram. But there is a very similar crime, I remember, to Bianca dying in the bathtub with a toaster. Which is kind of funny that there are some similar crimes between Monk and Psych. How they do that. And then, of course, are you a fan of delicious flavor? Putting this in the trivia. I love this. A pineapple appears when Sean holds up a pineapple and asks Alice if she would like to split it. That's probably one of my favorite pineapples, too, in all honesty. More trivia. Maggie Lawson chose this as her favorite episode for USA Network's Psych All Night event on March 21st, 2014. It aired as the first of 6. I could totally see it. She's totally undercover in a different character other than Juliet, and she's like the main person in this episode. She gets to do a lot, and it's really cool, because usually it's Sean. Sean's the main character, but Jules does a lot in this episode. And then this is the first time Sean utters the phrase, "I've heard it both ways." What? Legendary quote. Which, funny enough, my mom, we were texting about something. And I'm like, have you heard this being called this and this? And she's like, I've heard it both ways. And she's like, not really, but I just wanted to say that. I thought it was hilarious. It was, it's the phrase, whatever floats your boat. Because boats float. It's that phrase. And someone thought it was whatever floats your goat, which makes no sense. So I asked my mom, she's a little bit older, I'm like, maybe she's heard it, both. And she's like, I've heard of whatever floats your boat. I'm like, what about goat? And she's like, I've heard it both ways. And she's like, not really. I just wanted to say that. It was hilarious. And then Alice Bundy comes back. I'm not going to say the spoiler, but she comes back. Kind of. In a way, she comes back in a later episode. That is everything. I love that. So that is the trivia and the pineapple. And some pop references. As I always do those. And let's see. I don't know any of the actors, honestly. I don't know why. I thought I would have recognized some of the actors. Bianca. They say Bianca's in Final Destination 3. I don't know. Oh, it says she also portrayed Bianca in the Psych episodes Pilot and Scary Sherry. She's in the pilot? Really? Bianca's in the pilot. Shellyn Simmons. Oh, really? Wait, really? Really? Interesting. I don't know if I remember her from the pilot. To rewatch the pilot for the millionth time. Goochberg, Mercedes Rule. I don't know. She's in The Fisher King. I've never seen any of these things. But, yeah, there's a few. I didn't recognize anyone, but from Psych, I watched the episode so much. So, I think that's all I have for this episode. I cannot do it justice. It's so good. Everyone acts so well. The crime is so good. It is, it's incredible. I do. Sorry. I forgot. I have some commentary. Let me get that for you. I got some commentary. Okay. So on the Psych DVDs, I've done these before. The writer, creator, director, some of the people, and some of the actors come on and watch the episode and talk during it and do some commentary and give some little behind the scenes. So they did Scary Sherry, which, I would guess they would do. And here's some stuff I wrote down that I found interesting. People actually asked Dule if he's Bud on the Cosby Show. Dule, who plays Gus. The Holy Shih Tzu line was so close to being cut from the show. Which, that's Juliet's line. She's trying to be a sorority girl. And I love it. I'm so glad they didn't cut it. Dulay's nephew actually played young Gus for an episode, but it got cut due to time. Alice Bundy studies engineering. Fun fact. That's why she could do all the technical ghost creepy stuff. Because she knew, engineering. She's smart. She's a smart killer. Who just cares about her best friend, honestly. Henry is supposed to be drunk at dinner. Which is, I guess, why he talks with his mouth full, maybe. It's interesting. Corbin improvised the talk to Sean after cleaning up dinner. When he holds his head and gets really close to his head side by side and, whispers. And Sean's like, well, that was creepy. Yes, that is awesome. There was supposed to be a dog in the dog door, but they cut that out. Isn't that the one Sean goes in? In the house? Yeah. They used to be more than friends, Alice and her friend. But the story doesn't really show that besides the ring, because it was too long to add it. Oh, yeah, they were supposed to have a whole story with Alice and Doreen. Whatever her name is. I already forgot. Sorry. They were supposed to have a huge storyline, but it was cut due to time. Where they were not, best friends. They were something else. But, oh well. I would have loved to see that. More Alice Bundy time. Every time they go up a stairwell, it's the same one, just redressed. In Wispy Sunny Vines, literally. That is hilarious. And then, of course, I've never seen the movie, but I've heard about it. It's a Silence of the Lambs. I guess that's more pop trivia. It's similar to Silence of the Lambs, based off of that movie. Which, funny enough, Ted Levine from Monk is in Silence of the Lambs. And Psych is kind of based on Monk. Similar show. So that's really interesting. And then similar to Alice in Wonderland, her name was going to be Abigail, but Alice was perfect for that reference. I don't remember exactly what that means. That Alice is based off of Alice in Wonderland, apparently. And there's more deleted scenes. There's a lot of deleted scenes in this episode. If you go on YouTube and type in Scary Sherry deleted scenes, there's a lot. They could have made a whole movie on this episode based on the commentary and the deleted scenes. That would have been incredible. Can you just make that Psych 3 and not actually have Psych 3? Because I would like to see that. Which, did I say that? That's like 3 is coming out. They just finished filming it. I'm very excited. I don't know if it says when, but they just finished filming it. I know that. So those are all the commentary things I have. And I think that's all I have for this episode. Just watch it. It's so good. I can't say enough about it. And if I really put my heart and soul into this, it would be 5 hours long podcast episode on every little detail, on every little thing. But I'm not that entertaining. My co-host, once I get my co-host, I'm planning. We'll have longer, more interesting episodes. So, yeah, that is all I have. I'm taking a break to prepare for my co-host for season 2. So stay tuned. Goodbye.